You are listening to The Ben Keech Show, where every day the objective is simple. Ben will never stop fighting the fight and lighting the light on topics that affect you every day.
How in the world is everybody doing today? My name is Ben. You are tuned in to The Ben Keech Show, and the last one for 2023. So I hope you've enjoyed any episodes that you've been able to watch. We are doing episode 30 today. I was happy to have to do 10, and it just kind of keeps on going, and it's growing, and it's exciting, and I just feel like there's a million things to talk about. One of my goals for next year, as this podcast kind of evolves, is more guests, and that's definitely something that's on my mind. I only had one guest this year, and I almost needed just some time to get used to this. This is a new setup for me. If I was on a stage, it would be easy, but this is just different. And so I've been able to talk to you folks and meet people and just really honestly enjoy myself and, say a few things that I think and believe and hopefully help someone or be something. And maybe I piss somebody off along the way, and, life is cool, right? So it's all good. So one of my goals for next year with the podcast, as I continue it, more guests, and I'm looking into kind of how I'm going to set that up. So that's exciting. The other thing that I'm wanting to do is, this is just kind of a personal thing more, is just kind of continue to get used to like this. Like I love doing it. I love talking. I'm wanting to, sometimes when you have a microphone, you worry about, even if you don't want to, you worry about what are people going to think, or could this be offensive? And there's some topics I really want to get into because I think they're important, but they're kind of scary to get into. I want to talk about racism. I want to talk about abortion. I want to talk about, and not from maybe the vantage point you might be thinking. So I'm going to, take a deep breath and try to tackle some difficult topics, but some important topics in a way that I think, regardless of your opinion, maybe you'll see where I'm coming from. So that's next year. Let's live in the now. We're closing out this year. Episode 30 is what's wrong with the media. What's wrong with the media? Oh my goodness. This could be the longest episode ever, but I'm going to make sure it's not. But there's so much to be said and so much to talk about with this topic. So let's get into it first of all. So I always think it's important to have some context of what we're talking about with the media. So the media in our country is left of center. So politically speaking, most media outlets, most people who report the news, tell us the news, regardless of whether it's television, radio, the internet, whatever, are liberal. Okay. I mean, that is what it is. No judgment. That's just a reality. There are conservative outlets for sure too. And the internet has made that a possibility, whether you're talking about Candace Owen, Ben Shapiro, there's some super strong voices on the right. So the one thing we know, a good thing in our country about the media, is every idea, every thought, politically speaking, it's out there. There is somebody for you to align with if you want to. And that's actually an improvement. Back in the day when there was, 3 stations and here's when the news was on. I mean, yes, there were editorials, if you, read them, found them in newspapers. And there was the basic stuff that was on the television, but media has exploded. So the good thing, and I want to be clear, is all values, all ideas are going to be represented. And generally speaking, people who are wise to it know where to go. Now, this can lead to some other problems, and this is some of the things we're going to kind of get into today. But I want to go a little further. So I became a teacher in 2000, and my first year teaching was the Bush-Gore election. And I really paid attention to it. And I've been interested in politics my whole life. I mean, I grew up in a political family. I grew up in a conservative political household, and I understand how to articulate in respectful ways, how to discuss things with people who I may disagree with. It was a big thing in our family to know what you believe, why you believe it. But if you're talking to somebody who disagrees with you, there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. Those were the values that my parents instilled in me, and I'm super grateful for. But unfortunately, we see politics is the political climate is in disarray. It's dysfunctional. It's like the worst type of family that you can imagine, because it's the ugliest bickering. I hate to use the word hate, but it seems almost hateful. The other side is like the people that get invited to Adolf Hitler's Christmas party. Like, it's just the worst people. And unfortunately, that's where we are. That's how we view it. So what's the media's culpability? So when I was observing Bush and his presidency and 9/11 and Iraq, the one thing that became very apparent is the media hated Bush and at every turn. And it was blatant. The editorials in newspapers were, it was something like, I don't remember what the number was, but it was well over 90% of the editorials and newspapers across the country were anti-Bush. Now think about that. An opinion piece in a newspaper that somebody had to write, a journalist somewhere, what is the newspaper choosing to publish? It's not even 60-40 or 70-30. It's that one-sided towards one person. And I observed this, and I was like, goodness, why? Like, what's the point of that? And what happens is the media picks the good guy and the bad guy. They're watching the latest Marvel movie, and they're saying, there's the villain, there's Spider-Man. And this is, and that's how we're going to view this. That's literally how they see it. That's why they report things how they do. I would do these exercises with kids where I would take headlines from internet articles or newspaper articles, and you don't even have to read into the article. You'll find more. You can literally just look at the headline, and if you're wise to it, if you understand the verbiage that they're using, it was always slanted one way. It's not even, this isn't even a debatable thing. Like, this is so easy to prove. It would be, the easiest documentary to create. And I think there's been things that have done with it. I'm sure I haven't watched them, but to show how they use words, the stories that they choose not to report on, the stories that they do report on, and then when they report on, how they do it. They had an objective, and I saw this, and I would talk to my kids about it. The other thing, though, that was going on was that there was a counter movement to that. And that counter movement to that was Fox News. And so Fox News blatantly in a positive way, came from a conservative perspective, generally. And it'd be interesting, people that didn't like Fox News, the way they would speak of it. They would speak of it in this angry, almost hateful way, a vile way that, oh my, and I wonder to myself sometimes, I'm like, okay, so what's CNN? What's MSNBC? Even the nightly news, ABC, CBS, even there, it may not be so in your face, but if you look at what the words they're using and the stories they're presenting, the media, by and large, the mainstream media is the common verbiage for this, is liberal. Okay. And there's a counter to that. That's Fox. I think a respectful way for somebody who is liberal, great. Who doesn't like Fox, no problem. They should at least be honest with themselves and say, yeah, like, we want all voices represented in a democracy. I don't agree with Fox. I don't like Sean Hannity. I don't like that. I'm not going to watch that station unless I want to kind of understand what the other side is thinking, doing. But there's nothing wrong with that. See, the media, even from the beginning of our country, it was considered the fourth branch of government. Not really, fourth branch of government. That's the level of importance. We have the legislative, the executive, the judicial. But the media impacted all of it. even back when it was simply just newspapers and magazines and articles that people were writing. We always knew the importance of the media. And what we wanted it to be attack both sides, defend both sides, just tell us a story. Kind of keep your opinions out of it, though. Let me, the reader, get an unbiased view of what's going on and let me make my own decision. When that's not the objective of the media, we're in trouble. Because then, like musicians and people have recognized throughout time, is that then their objective isn't to present information, it's to get you to think this about that information that they decide to present to you. One of the ways that I always thought was interesting was in the arena of abortion. Look at the word; it's so interesting. And it's evolved. Look at the words that people would use to, let's say it's just an article about an abortion law in Montana, whatever. What it used to be, we would call them pro-life and pro-choice. But as time went on, pro-life sounds good. Well, pro-choice sounds good. They both sound good, right? Like, I'm for choice. I'm for life. Everybody listening would agree with those two statements, one way or another. But now what we're going to do, we're going to keep the pro-choice, but we're going to call it we're not going to call them anti-life, like the pro-choice side. We're going to keep them at pro-choice. But the pro-life side, we're going to change it up. We're going to call them, anti-choice. For example, there's other examples I could give. But just think about the context of that. And see, the average reader is going to gloss right over that. They're not going to see that. I'm against choice. Am I? Is somebody that's pro-life, are they against choice? Think about it for a second before we answer. If you consider yourself a pro-choice, you're okay with abortion. Before you answer, everybody is actually pro-choice. Everybody is pro-choice. There's not one person that's not pro-choice. Say it again. There's not one person that's not pro-choice. The difference isn't the word choice. The difference is who gets to make the choice. So if we have these human beings involved in this issue, who gets to choose? So if you think the woman gets to choose, fine. Then you're pro-choice for the woman getting to choose. Or you're pro-choice thinking that the unborn invariably gets to choose because they're a human being. My point isn't to get into an abortion thing. My point is that the media uses words always to paint the right, paint conservatives in a particular way. Now, George Bush, George W. I'm talking about, he was upstanding and he wasn't going to lower himself to this, and he wouldn't a lot of times even defend himself when there was different things going on with the Iraq war and whatever. And time passes, and that's kind of like there's a lot of Republicans that they wanted to be upstanding and they wanted to have a certain reputation, but they're soft, they're wusses. They wouldn't stand up to anything. I always laugh when people say, like, well, people that hate Trump, where do you come from? This is ridiculous. I can't stand all the things. Sure, I get it. Whatever you want to say about Trump, got it. You're probably right. But do you know why he's there? It's actually the more important question. What you don't like about him, okay. A lot of people that voted for him may agree with some of the things you don't like about him. But why is he there? Donald Trump became president of the United States for one main reason, is that he was the first person of power that blatantly, literally, consistently, daily attacked the media back, coming up with fake news and all these labels and didn't care, would say it to their face, wouldn't let them in the press. Like he is the first one that did that. Now, people, take the media out for a second. If you're in a group of people who, and I don't want to use the word oppressed in the sense of, like, I'm not going to look at myself in just a sense of the media, but just take the word oppress, or take oppress, victimize. I hate both of those words, so I'm struggling with the English language right now. But if you take a group of people that's happened to. So for instance, there's a lot of people in America that do not like the way our media reports the news, the way they slant it, the bias. It's disingenuous, and it goes against the objective of what we wanted the media to do, and why we even looked at their role in our government as so crucial. When Donald Trump went against them, when he attacked them, it was somebody finally standing up to it after watching president after president, politician after politician just be a little wuss and not do it. Now you see other people standing up to it. So what do we, the people, want? I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what your political persuasion is. Should be one sense that we should all be able to hold hands around the campfire and sing Kumbaya together, like liberals and conservatives together. We should all fight and desire and want a free, unbiased media. Now, we all also know that we've evolved, so we're always going to have media today, and I think this is a good thing. We're going to have the Rachel Maddows and the Ben Shapiros. We're going to have those leaders. That's okay. They are who they are. Like, they made a name for themselves, not by trying to get everybody to love each other, but by saying, this is right, this is wrong, that's okay. We're always going to have that in the age of technology and the internet. I'm not against that. But it would be wonderful, it would be a breath of fresh air if an anchor for a CBS and NBC that did the nightly news that my dad still watches, and a lot of older people do, and probably a lot of younger people don't, was somebody with a conservative ideology. Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw. I mean, you can go down a list of these people. They all voted Democrat. Doesn't mean they're all not fair, but once you actually get into their lives and what they believe, and you see how it was always slanted one way. And that's the point. The point is that you might say, well, it's easy for you to say because you view yourself on the loser side. You view yourself as your side is not represented. As a matter of fact, in a blatantly, almost prejudicial way. True. But I promise you, whether you believe me or not, that if the news was slanted towards conservatives in the same way that it's slanted to liberals, I would be arguing just as much against that. I am a person that believes in ideas and people articulating ideas and people formulating their opinions. It doesn't matter if it's the same as mine. It's not always winning or losing. It's not the objective of the media to try to push and slant us one way or another. It's the same thing that's happening in schools. The media and education are literally like a really good date partner. Like, they're holding hands. They've been dating each other for years now. Like, they love each other. They're lockstep together in unison, taking a particular agenda and saying, this is what's wrong. This is what's bad. It's not even just that we disagree. We think it's evil what this side thinks. And so then you have a guy like Donald Trump who can be abrasive, who's articulating some of these things. You wonder why it's divisive. You wonder why some of these things are happening. Folks, most of you are probably not getting, and your children too, a fair, honest, balanced look at, well, politics, life, the world as it should. That's why nobody understands capitalism. Why do you think nobody understands capitalism? Because it's not being taught. It's being hated on and misrepresented, and therefore we have these young college kids who are embracing everything that socialism has to offer. Why? Like it's not how our country became as amazing and great as it is. And I don't say that as a cocky American. I say that as witnessing people from all across the globe wanting to live in this country. Why'd they do that? Because of capitalism. Why does the media hate America? Sometimes, but the way they report it and they cover it up, I don't know. Why do educators speak more about what's wrong with America than what's right about America? It's because they don't like it. And these are the influences, and this is what pisses me off. These are the influences that are affecting voting decisions, affecting how people view things, and it's unfortunate. And it's why what's wrong with the media, their bias is what's wrong, and it's blatant, and it needs to change, and we need to hold them accountable. And I appreciate, if I despise every single thing that Donald Trump has ever done, said, or voted on, or whatever, which isn't the case, but if it was, I applaud, and every single American, regardless of your opinion, should be grateful and thankful that he attacked the media in the way that he did. If you're being an honest human being, not because you like him or not because you want to be on the winning side, because a fair media equals a healthy democracy. And we don't want to get ourselves into a situation where we're pushing ideas in ways that are manipulative and unhealthy. Like, that's not what's good for this country. Okie dokie. Let's move on to, I have a quote. I kind of made this up. I thought it was funny. You may roll your eyes and think it's dumb, but it made me laugh. Keech quote for the day: "Our media is as fair as Biff betting on horse racing and Back to the Future." I just thought it was funny. Anyway, if you laughed at that, please let me know, because I think it's only 2 people. So if you're one of those 2 people that thought it was funny, you have to let me know just so I can feel better about myself. Okie dokie. Let's go to the advice for children, parents. What do we want from our kids? We want them to be critical thinkers. How do you become a critical thinker? You understand multiple sides. Take the issue of abortion. Okay. Take the issue of climate change. Take any guns, whatever. Okay. Tell me what the most conservative person would say. Tell me what the most liberal person would say. Articulate their point of view, not in a biased way, or you're just pro-death or you're just anti-choice. No, in a respectful way, articulate their opinion and their position. How many kids can actually do that? How many adults can do that? Not many. And that's why we suck. That's our shortcoming. We know ourselves, we know what we think, and we know how to point fingers at the other sides. Conservatives do this, liberals do this. So what's my parenting advice to you parents? Raise your kids to know all of the sides. Now you can tell them hey, as a family, well, we believe in this. There's nothing wrong with a family imparting their values to their children. There's nothing wrong with saying man, in our house, we believe this. And that's cool. Some people say that's indoctrination. No, indoctrination is what the media and schools are doing, not what parents are doing. They brought these kids into this world. If they want to teach them values and things that they think are important, for crying out loud, that is their right to do that. Hats off to you, do it. But in the same breath, what does the other side say about that? And being able to say that in a respectful way. That's how things move in a positive way. That's what we really honestly just want from our media. At least I do. Okie dokie. Song. I just like this song, not because of all the lyrics in the song. The lyrics actually don't all make sense to what I'm talking about, but I like the title. And it's a pretty good song too. Song by 21 Pilots, which some of you probably heard. We don't believe what's on TV. And at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. We don't believe what we see. We don't know what to think. It just seems like a bunch of warped people trying to convince us and do these things. We don't buy it. We're sold out to it. People are tuning off. Even cable news and some of these things, it just becomes too much. It's almost like a dose of negativity that we really don't want in our lives. I've talked to some of my liberal friends and conservative friends, and they're all saying it. We're tired of it. I don't even know who's really looking forward to the next election. I mean, I know that the election's important. I know who I'd like to win personally. I don't know if I got the stomach for all the things that are going to happen in the course of it. It's not always fun. And I think people are worn down by it all, honestly. And I think that if the media took their opinions out of it and just simply reported, I think we, the people, would be grateful. Because I just think we want to be smart. We want to learn things. We want to know what's going on in the world. But we don't need to be talked like we're two and pushed, and we can see how they're coercing and pushing. It's like a bad bully boyfriend who's manipulating and controlling his girl. It's gross. It's stupid. Don't do it. But that's what's happening to us, and we see it in all people, even liberal conservatives. We're tired of it. to fix that problem, we need a healthier media. And with a healthier media, for all you people, Trump's probably not president. I believe that was the thing that got people like loving him, at least a major thing in that mentality. Anyway, folks, 2023 is almost over. I hope you have a safe New Year's, and it's been, like I said, wonderful. Please, hoping by the end of 2023, I'm super close to getting 500 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which is exciting for me, and I'm honored about that. So any way you can help by just literally just hitting that button. It's not going to charge you. It's not going to connect, your bank account with my bank account. Like, it's not weird. It's normal. And you get the notifications, when these episodes come out. 2024 on the Ben Keech Show, I think, promises to be exciting and fun, and I'm going to try to get better at what I do and keep learning and get some cool guests in here and see what can happen. So I'm excited. I loved having you guys this year. Have a great, great rest of your year, and cheers to 2024. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out on Ben's website, www.benkeechshow.com, or on social media to chat. And please remember to subscribe so that you never miss an episode.